Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Spooky Sexy Business Podcast, where we look at spooky Halloween sex. Today, I am Goth Neko, still Lewd Neko, but just with a different skin. And joining me, as always, is the, I think, very thematically named Spooky Dangerous.
Hello.
And today we are going to be embracing the spooky Halloween season by looking at a erotic paranormal comedy romance, Love Sucks. Night 1 in particular, though we'll be talking a little bit about the continuation, Night 2.
Yes, we started off with night one because it is free on Steam and your boy's broke. But if you are really interested in night two and what's supposed to come out in our lifetime night three, we will potentially go and have a look at them as well. But this one was really interesting. This is kind of like a classic visual novel kind of style. I don't remember there being any mini games or anything like that. If I encountered them, I was too horny and wasn't paying attention. But I do want to kind of go through kind of like a brief summary of the storyline, and then we'll kind of talk about some other stuff about how it all comes together. But from my playthrough, what I understand is you're kind of regular college dude with hyper dude bro best friend, and you encounter the two main love interests, and then later find out that one is a succubus and one is a vampire. Now, in my playthrough, I didn't get a lot of time alone with either of them. They kind of both together all of the time. So it's much less like a dating sim and much more trying to be an impactful scene kind of thing, telling a specific story in the chunks by what each night is. But you are also interrupted a lot by Naomi, who is a hunter of evil, a Nimrod, and comes and saves you from dying, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know. How am I doing? Am I butchering this, this summary?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much accurate. I would definitely agree that this really isn't a dating sim. That's why I described it as a supernatural romance because it's a romantic story, a sexual story, but it's really not about you making the choices. There are choices throughout the game, but it's pretty railroady, I would say overall.
Mm.
There's like a couple of small bad ends that you can get, but the game has some sort of like Groundhog Day mechanics, basically. So it's, in universe, you can have a bad ending and you're like, oh, that was the wrong choice. Let me go fix that. There are also a couple of like other small things you can change that I did like. So on top of like naming the protagonist, you can give them like a little nickname, and then you can also give your best friend a nickname. And then there's like a silly code word that you have to decide on, and you can choose that too. It's completely like inconsequential. Like it doesn't really do anything, but it was one of those small things that I liked being able to make a silly word.
What was your silly word that you chose?
I think it was something like "oh heck" or "heck yeah."
That's funny. I'm always interested in how they construct these things in particular because I knew it was going to the way that Ren'Py works. It goes you type something in, but if the user doesn't type something in, you need to code something that is a backup so that there isn't an empty space. And so they had a long list of randomly suggested ones that I rolled through to have a look at. And my nickname for myself I ended up picking was Killer because that was the one that had the lowest odds of showing up. Saw every other one 3 times, and I only saw that one twice in the number of rolls that I did. I know it's really not specific or important. And then all the girls' nicknames or whatever, I just did defaults. I was like, okay, sounds fine.
I went with Tiger
Oh
because
yeah,
like cat, big cat, and then I named the girl nickname Kitten.
cute. Normally, when I play the goofy male power fantasy visual novels, I name my character like Giga Chad or like Mega Cock or some ridiculous thing. So I always get a little giggle when people actually address me by my name. But little quality of life things like that are pretty cool. And it means that if you are really trying to be immersed, you could have your name be the thing that they're calling you by and stuff like that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, but basically, it's supernatural shenanigans. There is some plot and lore to like how the vampires and monsters and succubi work in this universe, but there's also a lot of just sort of like goofy comedy moments, which it actually does pretty well. I really enjoyed the sort of comedic interludes, and then I think at the same time it also makes the sex really kind of fun and playful.
I thought the actual scenes were pretty good. I really like the art style. It's that uh, good shading, high quality
Mm.
2D art that is usually what I am looking for when I'm hiring an artist to come and work for THM. It's like it's really flat like it's not trying to be 3D, it's not trying to jump out of the screen at you, but it's really expressive and it's got really good depth and shading to it, so you can
Mm.
kind of really see what's happening, and it's really expressive. The character design for this one I think is really good. We've got two main, and again, love interest is probably incorrect. Um,
Heroines,
two,
villainesses,
yeah,
depending on your perspective.
two boink interests. I think we've called it before on the show.
Fuck buddies.
Um, which is our vampire, which I actually really do like. Her design, because it doesn't feel like it's like really tropey, like they're trying to communicate that she's a vampire in the outfit. It's like this is a college student, and then wow, you're supposed to be surprised by the story that this actually is a vampire. Whereas our succubus, they go, yes, this is a succubus, and you go, well, the blonde bimbo, I'm shocked. um,
If you've never seen these characters, the vampire looks a lot like Marceline from Adventure
mm,
Time, for those of you who wanted to fuck her when you were in high school. And I feel like the succubus reminded me a lot of Princess Peach, which I enjoyed. I'm a big Peach waifuist.
that's true. Long friends of the channel will remember way back when we did like our waifus episode, and Princess Peach definitely did rate highly for you. So I imagine this is like a slightly more exciting version of those two fantasies come together for you.
Exactly. I mean, I love the characters in this one. The art is just like delicious. I really like the colors in it, especially. Like I like how even though she's a vampire and very gothy, she still has elements of color to her character design. So she's wearing like a little sort of maid outfit in night one, and it has
Mm.
little pops of green that help her to stand out a little bit compared to Anna the succubus, who is obviously in like a very bright pink sort of typical like bimbo outfit. And the expressions are also great, like not just in the sexy moments, but even in like the story beats or just in the character sprites. They're very expressive and fun to look at.
Mm. I also did want to talk about the voice work for this game. So compared to Orc Massage, where everything is just kind of grunts and moans, I guess like there's no actual spoken dialogue in that game. Um, and then it's like all kind of looped background music, and like kind of the same looped background music. And look, full disclosure, normally I do this kind of shit on mute. I don't actually like hearing anything because normally it's super immersion breaking for me. Because being an Australian with an Australian accent and hearing every single thing forever ever being in an American accent is also kind of weird sometimes. And then other times when you'll like randomly encounter someone that just has another weird and completely different accent, I'm just like, I shouldn't be caring so much about what region you came from. I should just be interested in the action of the story, what is happening. Um, so I normally play on mute, and then this game I thought was weird because there's a radio announcer who you never see, who is fully voice acted and is kind of like a narrator setting up the scene a few times. I think it's like twice or three times. And then looping background music that doesn't loop perfectly. So every time it resets, I go, ah, yes, the song has started again. Um, which changes a few times based on what location you're at, which I think works a bit better. Whereas Orc Massage is just like it's always this, it's always the elevator music. Whereas this one gets a bit more spookier as things get spookier, kind of thing, which I think works like a bit better. Um, but then for the actual scenes and stuff, I think at that point I may have actually taken my headphones off, so I don't actually know what any of the sexy VA is like. If you wanna talk a bit about that.
I mean, I thought the VA work was pretty good. So it's not fully voice acted, but there are sort of like key lines of dialogue, like character moments, and then obviously like the sex scenes, which are voiced. It's pretty much what I would expect for both of these characters. So Anna the succubus has sort of a very like more cute, like upbeat, bubbly type of voice. And then Jan the vampire has more of that like sensual, seductress kind of voice. And I did look into the two voice actors. There are other characters who are voiced too. So the one for Anna, I believe, is a little bit more underground, though she also did the voice like casting, I believe. So she helped with that. And then the voice actress for Jan, Ule Tiger, is actually a pretty big name voice actress. She's got over 130,000 followers on Twitter. It seems like she's been in a lot of big projects and does all sorts of spicy audios. So I personally really enjoyed that. If you're somebody who likes a little bit of, moaning and orgasm sounds and sexy voice lines with your visual novel.
Mm. Which, as I said before, isn't me, but I can appreciate people that want that whole thing. My main issue is I don't have wireless headphones, so I can't be in a comfortable position while all of this is happening. So maybe that's a skill issue. Um, anyway,
That's when you play it on the speakers at full
just
volume.
blast it. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like the people I live with wouldn't be that surprised. But I saw a thing earlier that they put out a tweet about working gender options into the game. Now, we currently have only a male protagonist, and I'll put this tweet up on screen because I think it's kind of cool how they introduced it, where the menu from what is it, McThick Burger, which is like the I don't know, the diner in theme or whatever that they have as part of the intro menu stuff, um, has three different options, which is basically male, female, fooder, but with funny names, so that possibly in the future you'll be able to choose, which is kind of cool, because currently it is just male protagonist, and all of the scenes are very focused on it being male protagonist. However, I can see how it wouldn't be too hard to convert stuff. For example, one of the scenes, when you get bitten by Jan the first time, you don't actually see your body at all. It's like really close up of her face and kind of pans over to Anna, who like ducks out of view, right? So like that wouldn't be too insane to like not have to change at all if the main character looks any different because you don't see them. And there's a scene later on where she sucks on your finger. I'm like, again, this doesn't need to be super crazy. One of the other things I
Yeah,
actually did want to bring up is there's a lot of condom use in this game. Like, it's incredibly safe
it's
sex
more
positive.
important.
Yeah. Which I thought was really interesting as well. That's not normally a thing that you'll see in porn games.
Yeah, so about the hand stuff, they actually did post some proof of concept. They did made a couple posts on Twitter, and one of them was like, "Hey, for some CGs, we don't have to change much. For that one, all they do is they add some nail polish to the sort of femme main
Hmm.
character's fingers." And I think the interesting thing about the condom use is, I don't know if you saw the scene with Anna where she gives you the blowjob. Did you see that one?
I think so.
Yeah, because she has to wear you have to use the condom because she's a succubus, so it's like, oh, she doesn't use it, she might like kind of just like go insane and like suck your soul out through your dick.
Yeah.
Um and I think it would be interesting to see like when they do the female version, like having her bring out a dental dam, because I've never seen one of those used in hentai, probably my fucking life. I've never seen one used in real
Yeah.
life. I think it's a myth created by like safe
Sex
sex
ed in America.
educators.
Yeah.
Which, like, no, you should use them if you feel comfortable using them. But I do think that would be interesting to actually see them. And they managed to make it sexy. Like, I personally don't mind condoms if they're like lore relevant or story important. And so it was kind of fun seeing them, the girls do their little demonstration of putting the condom on your finger. And then when you use it with Anna, I think it's sort of it's colorful in a way, so it makes it kind of
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah, it is playful. It is kind of plot related, like you said. I think including a dental dam thing is probably not gonna happen. I remember talking to someone before where it was like there's so much propaganda in the sex education system about dental dams, and I've literally never ever heard of anyone ever use one. I wouldn't know where to find one. So I don't know if it's like actually doing it because they're like it must be safe sex, or if it's more trying to be realistic to what actually would happen on a college campus, I guess. Like what Like
I've seen
how
them on
committed to
college
setting?
campuses.
Really?
Like I don't know, maybe this is an America thing, but like we had like a kind of like queer like LGBT center in my undergrad, and like they had like condoms there and stuff, but they also had dental dams. You can also cut a condom in half, and suddenly it's a dental dam because it's just a piece of,
True, yeah.
latex.
True. Well, tip for everyone at home, condoms are full of many uses. But I think we should go through our thoughts, impressions, talk about what our playthrough was like. Did you want to kick us off?
Sure. So I played this, I think maybe 2 years ago. And when I replayed it today, I mostly just sort of skimmed through and I went through my own VOD to sort of remind myself, like, what was it like when I first played this game? I remember really enjoying it because I do have Night 2 on my wish list. Might end up getting it if it goes on sale during like Spooky Month or something like that. But I'm a really big fan of Monster Girls to begin with, and I really liked the Monster Girls in this game. Now they aren't super monstrous. Vampires and succubi are pretty human grade, anyways, but they do have more monstrous forms, which I liked. So the succubus has a form where she's got like the sort of demon wings and the demon horns that you would expect, and some like facial like makeup, I guess, to make her look demonic. And then for the vampire, like her skin kind of turns gray. She's got these like more clawed hands, it looks like. And then obviously the more prominent teeth. So I enjoyed that. I remember really liking the pacing. It's about, I would say, like maybe a 3 hour read if you're slow, like 3 to 4 hours. Um, but it has a really good balance between the story bits where it wants you to pay attention and learn about sort of the lore, like why are the girls doing this? What do they want from you? And then also like all of the sexy stuff that happens in between. Like basically in the introduction of the game, you get railroaded into a threesome pretty quick. That ends up being plot relevant, a plot relevant threesome that you need to do. And then after that, you get to have some more individual scenes with each of the girls. So if you are somebody who you're like, I don't mind a little bit of story, but I do want the sexy content, I think this has the right balance, especially for a lot of Western readers. I've noticed, like, I feel like people who are normally not fans of visual novels but play the pornographic ones usually don't want like 10 hours of plot before you get to the first sex scene. So for this one you will not be waiting too long if that's what you look for.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like the pacing was okay. I did skip through a lot of stuff. One of the things that I thought was a bit weird. So it tutorializes the controls, but it also introduces the time loop thing, and it's like you've come to a point where you've died or whatever, and it's now resetting you back to a fixed point previously in the story, and then it actually recommends that you skip through the dialogue to get back to where you were. Which I thought was a bit strange because it's like either you should just put me back in a spot that has new stuff, or put me at a point where I don't have to skip so far, which I thought was a bit weird. So I did end up skipping kind of through a lot, and there was a few parts that were like lots of just dialogue that I did kind of skip through, like towards the end. Like I found myself skipping more and more and more, especially because it encouraged it. Um, but the forcing you to replay a scene because you died or whatever because you just chose a wrong dialogue option was really weird because you don't know what option it's going to be, and it's like, cool, I clicked the thing that I think was the correct choice. I've died. Oh, I now have to go back and click the thing again. Is very similar to the meat and fuck kind of game design where it's like I've got four dialogue options. Three of them are really rude, and one of them is a normal human being. And if I select the wrong one, the girl gets mad at me, and I have to select again. Except with added time loss every time. Like if I'm a speedrunner and I'm selecting the wrong dialogue option, I'm resetting the run. Um, Coom percent basically, which is a bit weird. I also couldn't find a gallery. Is there a gallery in this one?
So there's not a CG gallery. There is like a replay gallery where you
Right, it just
can
takes
go
you
to
to the
certain
scenes.
scenes.
Okay, I did see that, but it's just text, and it's a single line
Yeah,
of
it's hard
text
to figure out
describing what
what's
it
what.
is. Yeah, so I thought that was a bit shit. I would love even just like it doesn't have to be an image that shows what's happened, like the impactful, sexy part of the scene. but like something to help me remember what that scene was when I go and click on it. Every single CG gallery, for a reason, is you can see what it is on the tin, and then going in and having a look through, or like playing through the scene or whatever again. So like that was kind of, I don't know, tacked on or like weird in some way. And hopefully the night 2 and night 3 do a better job with that, because I feel like especially when you're time looping already through the game, if you're just like, I actually just wanted to stop and look at a CG, or I wanted to, you know, like sit into this moment without running through stuff, would have been really helpful. Um, Also, according to
Yeah.
my notes, the radio announcer was really confusing. Um, because they come on and they talk, and then you never see them. Like, it's obviously they're a radio announcer, but you like they didn't become plot relevant later on. Like in a lot of college radio show, Netflix TV type shit, they're like introducing a character by them being a radio announcer, and they become plot relevant and come and hang out and stuff later. So it was weird to have a fully voice acted narrator to me when you could be spending that time making sexy characters be voice acted.
I mean, to answer two questions. So I will say, unfortunately, based on what I've read from reviews, Chapter or Night 2 still doesn't have a gallery.
Oof.
It just has more like scene replays. So I really hope they add that in the future. It's not as bad as Food to Fix, which had like a completely broken gallery, so you couldn't see
Yeah.
anything. It's just like pretty annoying to have to work through. I am gonna disagree with you on like your criticism about the like having to skip through dialogue on the account of like it's a fucking visual novel. You have to hold down control for maybe 10 seconds. And if like you really hate it, like my argument would be just fucking save before the choice, idiot. That's what you're supposed to
True.
do.
Yeah. I wonder if it's got quick save. I didn't look at that. But also, I'm
Um,
not going to
I
know
think it does.
when I'm about to die. Because like, sometimes uh,
Doesn't it have rollback?
I don't remember trying rollback or not. Also,
I'm
I don't
pretty
know
sure it
if
has
it'll roll
rollback.
back if it leaped me backwards in time. So maybe that was something I should have tried. But there's a screenshot that I really like, which is I don't know what game it's from, but it's two different dialogue options, and the first one is kiss the girl, and the second one is don't kiss the girl, and then in brackets evil route. And it's like I kind of wanted something like that here, where it's like even because it has like a really nice animated text box for each dialogue option. It would be really cool just to like subtly have a thing that's like, yeah, this will fucking kill you, instead of forcing me to loop constantly. Because it's not that I was like, I hated reading everything. It was like, I just felt like I was reading the same thing over and over again. And it's like, I don't want to be doing that. It's already, I'm already just trying to get to the sexy parts. I don't necessarily want to be reading a novel most of the time. And so I'm here for the visual, right? I'm not here for the novel. Um, and them encouraging me to skip made me feel like that was what I was supposed to be doing to get through. So I don't know, it was a bit weird.
I mean, I think one of the things I did actually like about the lore sections of the game is that those are skippable.
Hmm.
So there's like two parts where what's the girl's name? The hunter.
Naomi.
Yeah, so where Naomi basically gives you like monster lore, like, hey, I need to update you about important stuff related to the plot. But if you click her like bottom option for both of those, like it'll have a little arrow next to it that means like
Yeah, I did
skip this
notice
section
that.
basically. So if you
Yeah.
are someone where you're like, I do not fucking care about how this world works or how these monsters work, I just want to see some boobs. I think this game accommodates to give those players basically easy outs so they don't have to force their way through like pages and pages of, oh, and vampires in this universe do this and
Maybe that's what we should do for our reviews in the future. It's like speedrun boobs
TLDR.
percent. How quickly can you see boobs in the game?
Oh, well, this one doesn't it open up? Oh, well, I guess the threesome at the beginning doesn't have
Everyone's wearing
uncensored.
clothes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's around the midpoint or like the end of the first third. Anyway.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'll say is so I totally forgot about the radio announcer. Like I said, I did kind of skim. So yeah, I'd be interested in looking who voice acted that. Like maybe it was a friend of the team or something like that. Like that's always my inclination when I'm like, that seems weird that this is voiced.
Hmm.
But I will say one thing I did find from Night 2 is it seems like they added more content to side characters. I think there's two or three new female characters, and I
Huge.
believe they're all voice acted to some
We
extent.
love
So,
women.
Yeah, so more sexy women in the sequel. You do also get to fuck Naomi in the sequel because she's very hot, but you do not get to bone her in night one.
Yeah, you don't, and it's just all plot with her. You don't get any kind of sexy scenes. She's kind of cranky the whole time too, so you don't really have any non-plot content with her, right? So if you're a big Naomi fan, then you kind of do have to just come and play the sequel, unfortunately. Um, which is interesting. I'm curious just to see what side characters come up. The only other criticism I really had was it didn't feel like we explored locations very much. Like they introduced the diner, and I don't remember ever being there. And then you go to like a couple of random different places on the campus, but then like everything is still kind of so character focused. And even though it feels like we're supposed to be going to new and different places, we don't really see any other people. And we don't really see many other locations, which I thought was a bit.
Yeah.
It made it feel smaller than it is, which is I feel like a detriment because it's not necessarily a small game.
Yeah, part of me wonders if like I feel like we're gonna have to explore night two at some point now
Yeah.
because I'm very curious like how much like bigger like that sequel is like because I'm looking through I looked at both the trailers and then I did look through like some of the promotional images and I'm seeing a lot of different backgrounds. I'm seeing like new areas being used. I think there's some sort of like Halloween festival happening on night two. That's sort of like the main thing the night is centered around. And then it also looks like it has some like interesting sort of kinks. Like it looks like because like Jan the vampire is wearing a sort of like werewolf furry outfit in this one, and I think there might be
Huge.
a scene where she transforms into a werewolf. I don't know if you get to fuck her as that or not. I would assume.
I'll be upset if the answer is no.
But it definitely seems like I feel like night one was sort of like, here's the concept for this thing we want to do, and we're gonna release it for free. They do have a Patreon, which I assume helped to fund night one, and
Hmm.
then it seems like night two is sort of like the expanded, like it's got more everything now.
Yeah, so I wonder if Night One is intentionally skirting upon being brief. Like they've intentionally not made it a big game. And it's the intention is kind of like a demo to get people into the series, trans people onto the Patreon, get people playing and anticipating chapter two, chapter three, as like a instead of having a Steam demo, like specifically demo, it just is a air quotes full game, but then all of the good content is in game two that costs money, game three that costs money. Because even Steam recently changed how demos work to make them so much more flexible and accessible that this was released probably way before that. So I wonder if that would have changed how they release it. Like if this first episode came out now,
Mm.
would they have made it a demo, or if the intention is to be like, yeah, this is a full game, come and check it out. Oh, you just finished playing and you still haven't come yet? Well, let me tell you about a purchase you could make right now.
So I think it's actually really smart and strategic of them to make Night One a separate product. For one, there was a 3-year gap in between Night One being released and Night Two being released, which isn't even an account how long, I don't know, like when Night One was like first revealed or like
Hmm.
suggested that it would be a game and how long that took. And I think what would have happened if they had just called this game Love Sucks, the demo was Night One, and then their options are either like go into early access for 3 years and a bunch of people are gonna bitch about how your game is too short, the art doesn't come out fast enough, like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that can kind of create a lot of bad faith, even if it's a good final product. Whereas
Hmm.
I think by releasing what I would argue, like this is a 4 hour, 3 to 4 hour visual novel with a lot of fucking art and a lot of really nice art for free.
Hmm.
I think by releasing that as a game, it creates a sense of like goodwill of like, we are giving this to you for free because we trust you're going to like our product so much, you're going to want to buy the sequel or go on the Patreon or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were also able to get like lots of reviews. People got excited about the game. They were really interested in the game. People drawing fan art of the characters, stuff like that. I think by having it as its own sort of thing, it was able to just sort of build up hype for what would eventually be Night Two.
Yeah, and it seems to have worked out well for them, to be able to still continue doing it now, even with such a big gap in between game one and game two. Like, for 3 years to pass and people to have not completely fallen off of Patreon without receiving a product is
Hmm.
interesting. So I wonder if they were doing like you could play the game before it was released on Steam during that time or something like that, or having the fans contribute in a way with polls or seeing early art or whatever. Is really interesting. I would like to know a little bit more about how that came together. And maybe we should go and play Night 2 and then Night 3 when it releases. So if you are keen in us playing some more spooky games, let us know. Get in the comments. Tell us. Do you have a favorite Halloween wank? Do you want us to play more Love Sucks? Or simply, are you interested in us doing boobs percent on every single game that we look at from now on? Because I feel like that would be kind of funny. Let us know. We really enjoy doing this podcast. This is actually episode 30, which means that we actually have been doing it for quite a long time now without missing a single week. It's kind of, cool of us. And if you appreciate that, if you've been enjoying the show, if you've been learning cool things about the Sexy Business podcast and our sexy business world, be it new games that you want to come and try out and play, or some of the behind the scenes stuff that happens in the NSFW industry, please leave a like, hit that subscribe button. Subscribe, for the most part, is pretty meaningless. YouTube doesn't actually pester you that much, but it helps us a lot. So the actual effort required versus payout for us is a big deal. And we would really appreciate that because, as always, you would love to have the happy cat. And I know she looks extra sad in the goth outfit, but we still want our happy cat, I promise you. So hopefully stick around. We'll have some more spooky games coming up, and we will see you next time on the Sexy Business Podcast.
Bye bye.